Hello, and welcome to day 5 of the Advent of Cyber challenges through Try Hack Me. And in this challenge, we're still on web exploitation, and now we're doing the Pesky Elf Forum. So it seems like there's an elf forum where all the elves express their joy about Christmas. But the Grinch has a bad admin account and has installed a plugin that has changed all mentions of Christmas to Buttmas. Now, Grinch, you know better. Now, McSkitty, which is us, we need to find that admin account and disable that plugin because we can't have the children referring to Christmas as Buttmas. So, the learning objectives for this challenge is we're going to learn about XSS or cross-site scripting, the different types of cross-site scripting, and then it's going to provide a walkthrough which is going to be helpful for us for our challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the machine. I'm going to do that early while I go over what is cross-site scripting and things of that nature. So when we want to start on the challenge, our IP address is ready and we can get to it. Okay, so what is cross-site scripting? Well, it's a ejection attack where malicious JavaScript is injected into a web application and it can be executed by others. So that's the most generic answer that you can get. Simple, straight to the point. Some of the things you can do is you can steal a victim's cookies and you can take over their session, meaning you can impersonate their account, meaning you can impersonate as if you're that user. You can run a keylogger, so you can log every keystroke that they type when visiting a specific website. You can redirect a user to a totally different website altogether, or you can reset their password. So there are many flavors of cross-site scripting. There are four. Mainly, we talk about three, but there are four. And there is another room here that I have also have on a tab, cross-site scripting, that if you want to know more about cross-site scripting and delve deeper, you can do this room as well. I believe you need to have a subscription to Try Hack Me to complete this room, but I just want to point that out. Now, the different flavors of cross-site scripting. The first is DOM, or Document Object Model. So for HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, and XML, Extensible Markup Language, everything is referred to as the DOM. So every node is in the DOM. So what DOM-based cross-site scripting allows us to do is we can add JavaScript execution directly in the browser without any new pages being loaded or data submitted to the backend. So a backend is like a database. So the execution occurs when the website Java code acts on the input or user interaction. So that's DOM. Next is reflected, and so in reflected cross-site scripting, that happens when you provide user supply data and an HTTP request, because remember, HTTP is requests and responses. So the client, which most times is us when we're interacting with the website, we're the client, we send a request to the server then sends a response back to the client, and the response is the answer from our request. So with reflected, it's user supply data and an HTTP request that's included in the web page without any validation. So it's basically saying that the web page is like, oh yeah, I trust you. Everything that you send me, you won't send me anything malicious. Everything you send me is going to be great because I trust you. And an example of this is a URL that has username ls incorrect. So essentially what happens is the error message could be replaced with JavaScript code which gets executed when a user visits the page. So right now the URL it errors because it's like, hey, the username is incorrect. So what you can do is you can change that, remove the user is incorrect, and then replace that with JavaScript code, right? Stored is a payload that, as the name suggests, stored on the web application, most times in a database. So anyone that accesses that site or web page is susceptible to this attack. And out of all of the cross-site scripting flavors, this is the most damaging because, as the name refers, it's stored. So once you get a payload stored into a database, it's there. So anybody that visits the web page and that database is invoked or executed, everyone is susceptible to that payload being executed, and everyone is susceptible for that attack. So an example is if you have a blog and you leave a comment, right? And the messages aren't properly validated and you save malicious JavaScript code. So you save malicious JavaScript code in a blog, and anyone that visits that blog is susceptible to have that malicious Java code execute because it was saved to the database. And then finally, the last one is blind, and blind XSS is similar to stored, and that your payload gets stored on the website for another user to view. But in this instance, you can't see the payload working, right? So an example of this is a contact form. Your message could contain a cross-site scripting payload, which a staff member views if the message gets executed. So meaning with blind is with the other flavors of cross-site scripting, you will know pretty quickly if it will work, right? Because there will be some interaction that shows, oh, okay, this is susceptible to cross-site scripting, and you will know fairly quickly. With blind cross-site scripting, as the name implies, it's trying to trick you, and it's like, hey, I'm susceptible to cross-site scripting, but I'm not going to show you that. So if you're looking for the aha of like, hey, I supply this and I'm waiting for the server to give me the confirmation that this site is susceptible, the server's like, nope, I'm not going to give you that. No, it's playing dead, so to speak. So that's blind cross-site scripting. So I press the start button and we're going to go to the walkthrough. I press the start button. So we have an IP of 10.10.232.208, and as you see, 10.10.232.208. So I'm going to go to this link, and then we see here that we have an ELF forum, and we have a username and password, McSkitty and password. So let's log in. McSkitty and password. Okay. So we see here. So excited. This is the Grinch. But miss dinner. Oh no, but miss preparations, because remember the plugin has changed Christmas to Buttmas, right? So we got to change that back. So now that we're logged in, you'll notice the navigation bar has now changed from login to settings and log out. We'll see that here, settings and log out. Now we need to click the settings. And you'll notice a feature for changing McSkitty login password. Try changing your password to pass123. So let's do that. Pass123. And I'm going to say update. And now we see in the address bar, new pass equal pass123, and our password has been changed. And that's what it's saying. So you'll notice in the URL or address bar, pass123. So now let's go back to the forum and visit one of the pages. So let's go back to the forum and one of the pages. Oh, and let's go to one of the threads. So I'm going to say workshop. Workshop reminder. Okay, and then we can leave a comment, right? So now it says, try leaving the following comment. So I'm going to say, hello world. And essentially what this is doing, this is HTML. And if this is successful, it will underline world. And it worked. It underlined world. So again, this means the comment is reflected as you wrote it without the HTML tags being stripped out. Right? Because essentially, if there was validation being performed, this would not have worked. So you can try the HTML script tags instead to see if the website will run any JavaScript that is entered. So now let's remember we changed the password. Oh, we don't have it. Because we went to the new page. But remember, we changed the password to pass123, right? Because originally it was password and then it was pass123. So let's copy this. And essentially what this is going to do is, if it works successfully, first this script is signifying JavaScript. This fetch is going to go to settings, which was the website we went to change our password. And then new password, because remember that was the field. And then it's going to change the password to pass123. So if this is successful, it's going to change everyone, all the users for the forum, password to pass123. So let's see if this will work. Okay, we didn't see anything, but it seemed like it worked because we didn't get an error. Now, if we right click and say inspect element, we see it worked because here's our script. Script fetch settings new password underscore equals pass123. So it worked. So it saved. So that means that all of the passwords have been changed to pass123. And now we're going to test it. So let's log out. And now we're going to log in. And now we're going to log in as the Grinch. And we're going to say pass123. And yep, it changed. So that was successful. So just to explain, the first attack, well, this showed that it wasn't an attack. This showed that we were susceptible to cross-site scripting because we were able to do the underlying tag, and that was because it reflected back to us. Next, what we did was we performed a stored attack of changing the password for all the users, changing the password to pass123. And we proved that because we changed the Grinch's password to pass123 and we were able to log in. Now, Once logged in, we need to go to the settings and let's try to disable. We have disabled the plugin, and now it says, what is the flag? Try hack me, no more buttmas. Uh-oh, come on. I'm working in a virtual machine, so bear with me. So as I explained a little bit of what we did, so I won't explain it now. So again, well, I'll explain it one more time. So we explained the different types of flavors of cross-site scripting: stored, DOM, reflected, stored, and blind. And then we logged in as McSkitty, went and changed the password to pass123. We noticed the URL, how it showed the new password. Then we went to the threads, created a new thread, noticed that when we added HTML, it was reflected back to us, and then we realized, hey, our input is not being validated or sanitized, so this is probably susceptible to cross-site scripting. Next, what we did was we realized that with cross-site scripting, we can add scripts. So we then did a stored cross-site scripting of changing the passwords for all the users to pass123, and that way we could log in as the Grinch, because remember, the Grinch had a plugin enabled to change Christmas to Buttmas, and we can't have that for the children. It's Christmas, it's not Buttmas. So once we changed the passwords for all the users, we were able to log in as the Grinch with the new password of pass123, and then we were able to disable the plugin, receive the flag, no more Buttmas, and all is well. And we're waiting for our next challenge, tomorrow's challenge. But it just goes to show how dangerous and catastrophic stored cross-site scripting can be, right? Because we changed the passwords for all the users, and the Grinch doesn't know, right? Because we changed the password, and he has his password that he created, but that doesn't work now because we have effectively stopped that and have changed the password for him. So cross-site scripting in itself is bad, and you should always, validate and sanitize your input. But stored cross-site scripting is especially dangerous and especially catastrophic because it affects all users, because it's saved to the database. And anyone that goes to that website or invokes that database is susceptible and will receive that attack. So, I hope that you have learned quite a bit in this challenge, and I can't wait to see you in tomorrow's challenge. I can't wait to see what we're going to do next and how the Grinch is trying to stop Christmas. So, have a good day. Bye.